very, I mean, he has the experience. He's my brother-in-law, so very, 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 very experienced. And he does one thing. Maybe he will tell you. If you check his CV, he uses 2 or 3 years in a particular role, and then he jumps, and then he jumps. And then he was the one that told me that if they're going to pay you well, you can't stay too long. You see, you can't stay too long. So please welcome Mr. Femi. It's a VPO. I call him VP. VP. So those days we used to talk about grace and
you didn't say his job title. You just say what's his job title? IT manager.
No, he's vice president now.
Big boys.
Praise God. I'm so used to, thank you very much for having me. It's a great privilege to be speaking. I missed a few sessions earlier, so I know Esther would have done a great thing. And I listened to the HR as well, so that was a nice presentation. Thank you very much. I think I got a few points from there as well. So thank you very much for Pastor as well. So this is the first time I'm coming up here to speak. So I really appreciate the fact that you actually brought me on board with these great speakers to actually present. So it's a privilege. I'm so used to that. I apologize for that. All right, okay. I'm not gonna go straight to I just want to go straight to the point, basically. This is IT. When I got into the UK, I had my first degree in Nigeria. Then I had 1 or 2 years experience in Nigeria. Then I came over for my master's degree. The intention was not to stay, the intention was to go back. But I saw opportunities in the UK. And when I finished my master's was in wireless networks. By the way, I'm Oluwa from my family, sorry I didn't put it on the screen like the previous speaker. So, and I did my master's in wireless networks, and it was, I learned Java programming, a lot of programming languages, which have actually helped me in the journey as well. So, but something dropped into my mind. So when I wanted to start working, then my family friend that came to pick me up from the airport told me, he said, IT is a big deal in the UK. Then I heard on to the word, and I started digging into it. I mean, of course, my master's was in IT as well. But the good thing about it is that I started projecting myself in that line, and I have friends around me that are into IT as well. We came from Nigeria. So I can understand the frustration of people that maybe just arrived, if not been able to work properly to your full potential, probably just trying to survive. I mean, I was in that shoe before, so I was knocking on the doors when I finished my master's degree, selling Sky products, selling installation packages and stuff like that for a couple of months. But that was just to keep me going and to get the money, but I had a determination of where I was going to. And I held on to that determination. So I understand your frustration or your struggles, but the thing about it is that you just need, will I say God's favor or one luck to get into the industry, and that's it. Once you get into that industry, trust me, you're just gonna be moving with the industry if you know what you're doing. And it's especially for IT industry, it's easy to get into IT industry, it's very challenging. It's easy to get into it, and it's easy to get obsolete. So meaning you can get into the field and feel you're doing the best or you're doing good, but trust me, if you don't evolve with the market, because it's a dynamic market, you can easily get out of the market. You know, when people go through redundancy and they find it hard to get back into the industry. So that's what happens. So like I said, I'm just gonna go straight. So my agenda today, again, is just looking at the career path. I don't want to introduce, how many of us are into IT here? Whether in Nigeria or here? All right. I mean, anything IT, INFOTECH, like software, networks, data, analytics, whatever stuff, anything you've done in Nigeria that's related to web design. I know a lot of people have done web design in Nigeria, web development and stuff like that. Yeah, I just want to know the audience I'm speaking to as well. So how many people want to get into the space? All right, great, okay, cool. All right, so what I'm going to do quickly today, so working with the limited time I've got, I'm just going to go through the career path. I don't want to spend too much on the career path, but I want to go straight into how to get started. But I'm just going to give you an overview because sometimes people, like what brother said, we know people say they want to get into IT, but what space? What field? IT is broad. You understand? IT has the software part, it's got the engineering part. We're talking about automotive intelligence this day. That's to do with automation. It's not just the software that is making the device intelligent. There's some hardware that needs to be put in place as well to interact, like microprocessors and a few things like that, to make sure the automobile is intelligent as it is. So let's go straight to the next one. Sorry, I know it might not be very clear, but basically, like I said, IT is a very challenging, dynamic, flexible, rewarding, and fulfilling market. So you can be rewarding in such a way that you have to push yourself very hard to get to where you want to get to. Challenging, I said, is not something you get into and just relax and fold your hands. You need to keep learning. You need to keep evolving. Certification is there, but experience matters the most when it comes to IT. You can have certification to break into the industry. You can have certification to get interviews, but when you get into the industry, experience really matters. And there was a particular time I stopped writing certification. Certification helped me to break into the industry. But when I got into the industry, I think experience matters. And how to structure your experience, your CV, like what Sister was saying, a lot of people putting back the job description back into the CV. So rather than highlighting your experience and telling them your key achievements, in fact, I don't really tell them a lot of work about what I've done. I just mention key achievements I've actually achieved in my space of time where I was working. So IT is a very dynamic environment, like I said. So because of the fact that it evolves very fast, and we're talking about AI, you can do anything with AI these days. We talk about ChatGPT. You can do anything. Apart from GPT is actually one of the solutions, AI solutions, that every sector you want to think about, there is AI for it, basically. So it's a very dynamic world, and if you don't evolve with the space as well, you're going to get obsolete very fast. So it's rewarding. In this market, what I will tell you that you determine how much you want to earn. If you want to stay on 50K, you can stay on 50K. If you want to stay on 30K, you can stay on 50K. If you want to go as far as 500K, you can do that. You determine how much you earn in this particular industry and the space you find yourself. So I've highlighted the key job roles that you can find in IT. So these are every space you find there are actually find in IT, and I'll talk about the top skills as well in IT. But majority of what you're going to see here, you can see a lot of things are driven by software. So a lot of people actually begin their journey in software development, and whether if it's infrastructure, maybe it starts with system administration, and they go further into specialization, real specialization, and start generalizing as time goes on. So let's go to the next one, please. All right, okay. So these are the major career paths. The other parts, or the other field which I've not included yet, so which is project management and product management. So project management and product manager, they work in hands with all the sectors of all this field to actually achieve, because all this field they're talking about, they need the project to drive, they need the project manager to drive them. And also products, if you make or create a software, you need someone to be able to sell the software. You need somebody to be able to package the software in a catalog, or to have a product catalog for a company. So most people start their career in administration. And also, this is how, for people that want to break into the IT industry, the quickest way to get into IT industry is through this administration, IT service desk or IT help desk. So why do I say that? Because this will help you to know a lot of things about the computer networks. It will help you to be able to get your hands dirty, to be able to understand the monitoring, understand hardware, software, at the very level, maybe working with the operating system. A lot of us know that we work with Windows, but there's so many things that we can do with, excuse me, a lot of things that Windows can actually achieve that we are not taking advantage of. So those skills are very, very vital in your career progression into IT. So this is one of the very, very entry level to IT industry in the UK, and I'll go through how you can get into that particular space. This doesn't require any experience to get into the space, to be honest. It doesn't require any experience, you just need your degree, experience, and all the soft skills that I've mentioned, to be honest, because at this level, they want to train you. It's more like a beginner level into IT. So we've got software. So the first software aspect of IT, so focus more around creation of software, developing software applications, whether it's mobile application, web application, desktop application, or Internet of Things. We can have almost anything connected in your house this day. Anything, your bed can be connected, your TV can be connected, your wall, your lights, everything can be connected to the internet. That's on the software. So on the software, we've got like the software engineering, the full stack developer, AI engineering, and this is the next big thing at the moment, the machine learning. Sorry, I think my throat is. Let me just water my little. All right, yeah. So, but software engineering is a lot of people don't come into IT through this space. A lot of people come into IT through this space, and you know how it's very easy to get into this space. Because there are a lot of very high level language you can learn. Like web development is very easy to get into. So knowing something like JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, it can actually help you to get into this space as quickly as possible. Knowing things just as JavaScript can actually give you understanding of front-end development. Like, you know, the website, when you go to the website, the front page you see, somebody actually designed that particular front page. But on that front page, there are lots of applications going on that front page that you don't see. You just click on them, or you know that there's a lot of applications in the back end that's actually driving there. So those are back-end developers. So for a full stack developer, those just need to develop the front page, and that's it. So for full stack, it's someone that understands both the back end and the front end, basically. So, and they end better, so because they have understanding, not just understanding of how to program, but understand the life cycle of the software as well. So that help them to get more focus, more visibility in an organization than just being a front-end developer. So AI, like I said, is the next big thing. So I don't want to spend too much on this because I've got limited time. So data is the next big thing in the UK. I mean, not in the UK, in the world. Data is big. If you want to get into this space, it's probably easy to get into this space now, even in the UK. So you just start with a very entrant level, which is the data analyst. It's very easy to get into data analyst. All you need is Excel. If you know how to use Excel very well, you know how to use SQL very well. All these things are very easy to learn. But the only thing is that even if you find it very challenging to learn, to be honest, I think it's just about working with somebody that is in that field, that you can actually study together, can actually be the mentor to you to actually help you get up to the ladder. So data engineer, data scientist the highest because they deal with modeling of using data to predict features, and that's what's helping organizations to generate maybe like growth forecast and things like that. So data engineering deals with more of the infrastructure, but I'm only focusing on people here that want to get into the industry. So if you want to get into the industry, the fastest way to get into the industry is just the data analyst, and I'll tell you the certification you need to do. So network, I'm into networks, but network is not what it used to be. Network that I got into is now known as legacy network. So network has evolved as well. So for you to be a top or a top notch in network, so you have to know automation, you have to know security, you have to know cloud. So network has really evolved as well, but you can easily get into network. Network is pretty much easy to get into because when I started network in this country, I had no experience. When I work in Nigeria, I work in Nigeria then as an electrical engineer, so I was doing most of electrical design, using AutoCAD and stuff like that. I had no background in IT, no background in networks at all. So I started by writing a professional certification, which is CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate. So, and actually that gave me edge into that gave me advantage to get my first job. So it's very easy to get into this, so you don't have to have experience. And every of the first line that you're seeing here, every role in the first line, you don't really need any much experience, to be honest. But the thing is that you have to drive to get into the industry. You have to have I would like put it now in the UK perspective. you have to have like, you can break in easily through a professional certification. So if you are depending on your master's degree, or your first degree, it's not enough. Because they don't really look at that. They look at because your professional certification actually give them a good perspective about what you can actually do, your understanding. You understand? For you to pass that exam, they know that you've gone through some level of training, research, or whatever program that you've got. So security is another big thing in the UK. Everything from software, data, networks, all need to be secured. And that's why security is a big thing, because the cyber activity has increased across the world. So you can't joke with, and no organization can joke with security. Any data breach will result in a fine of multi-million pounds. So security is a very, very big thing. And a lot of people are rushing into this field, into the cyber security field, because of the advantage, because of the fact that it can give them an edge. And also one thing that you need to do in IT as well, and this space as well, you need to always get ahead of the market. You understand? If you know there is an emerging technology in your space, or whether in a space that you want to switch to within this technology, you need to start researching. And you need to start understanding what are the things you need to know to evolve into that particular market as well. And one thing I put at the bottom here, these are advanced skills, basically, when it comes about DevOps and cloud. Cloud is a big thing, but I won't recommend it going straight into cloud without any of this field, basically. And DevOps is a much advanced field. It's actually for professional, but if you are in this field, then you're commanding a very good package, basically, and your understanding of IT infrastructure, of software development lifecycle, of anything, project management, collaboration. You have to be combining a lot of things together. And there's a key word that they coin in this particular field. It's called continuous integration, continuous development. Okay, can we go to the next slide? All right, okay. Were you able to? All right, okay, the next slide basically is just more around talking about each of what I've just said now, around software. So the key things you need to know around software development. I don't know whether you can see my screen. All right, so I gave a brief information. I gave a brief information about each of those fields that I highlighted, like the software development. So I say it's one of the broadest. It's not one of. It's actually the broadest IT field, basically. And you can't just say you want to rush into it. So you need to choose your area of interest. You need to grasp the concept. The syntax is very, very easy. And any IT field that we talk about, hands-on is very, very essential. So you need to start developing small applications. If you're into web development, if you're into software development, don't just learn it or read it. You don't read software. You need to practicalize. You need to develop applications. So, and if you're starting into software development, you want to get access into software development, you need to look at what is the most popular language that you can actually learn to get into it. And I've mentioned something that you can get into, like the entrance level. The entry level to software development, like you can become a front-end developer, like I mentioned. You can become a Python developer. So these are very, very easy to learn. And you can easily learn this. I can give you a lot of references that you can actually use to learn this very well. But the thing is that IT needs time. You need to devote your time to it to actually learn these skills to be able to get access into the industry. Can we go to the next one? All right, data. Like I said, it's high demand and short supply. When I mean short supply, I don't mean short supply in the sense of just data analysts. There are a lot of data analysts coming into the market, but there's short supply of data engineers and data scientists. Data scientists is the biggest thing in data, you understand, but there's short supply of data scientists, more supply of data analysts, and limited supply, maybe like moderate supply of data engineer. So if you want to get into this space, you can get by going in as a data analyst, but your aim is not to stay as a data analyst. If that's your ambition, fine, that's fine. But for me, getting into this space, I'll be aiming to climb as much as possible to get to the space of data scientists, because that's when you can start really. That's when you realize the real power of technology, basically. And like I said, to get into data, easily just know this language, which a lot of people are familiar with Excel, PowerPoint, and stuff like that. So this is part of the package we've worked with over the years. So SQL, Power BI, and Python. Python is always very in tech today. You need to any field you hear about, Python is very important. It's very essential, and that can give you access. It's very easy to learn Python as well, but a lot of people find it challenging. So, but you can start with just this basic skill set. Can we go to the next one? Networks. So networks, I've highlighted a few skill sets as well. Sorry, I'm not going into the details of the skill set, but there are a lot of skills associated with each of those fields. And to go over each of those skills, it requires some time because you need to master those skills. There are some things you need to do. But basically, networks, like I said, is very. I have no experience in networks when I go into networks. Nothing. And I can tell you, I don't regret it because it's taken me through some journey. I mean, speaking to the right set of people. It's given me a very good learning curve as well. So, like I said, it's very easy to get into. Hands-on is very essential. You need to do lab and a lot of work you need to go into it as well. You don't just learn anything IT basically by just reading books. You need to practicalize. Hands-on is very essential in IT. So now, like I said, you don't just do networks. If you do only network alone, you'll probably not become redundant when they're doing another series of redundancy or another set of redundancy. So, but automation is very key. Automation, security, and cloud. So that's what I had to jump into to start doing to make my skill relevant in the market. All right, and I said it's very easy to get into it. So I started as not really a network analyst. I started as a network engineer, but as a consultancy. Did a consultancy of providing professional services for O2 Telefonica. I started at the very entry level, and I think my first salary was probably about 25,000. But again, it's just going beyond looking at the salary at that particular point in time. It's more about where you're going to. So, and when you get into the market, into the field, you need to learn as much as possible. You need to tap knowledge from everybody that is experienced within the environment. So I had mentor every place I worked, I had mentor. And one thing I did when I finished from O2 Telefonica, that's when my career actually took a turn around, because what I did was start going for something that is bigger than myself. And with doing that, I was able to challenge myself. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of things, but I got there. I'm not there yet, but I'm still evolving. Praise the Lord. Sorry.
Hallelujah.
I think because I'm so used to speaking in the church setting. Sorry, apologies for I praise the Lord all the time. Yeah, so let's go to the next one. So security as well, it's I'm just giving you some bullet point on security as well. So you've got like that what I said is very big thing because of the increase in cyber activities. We talk about you can't just get into security from nowhere, so you have to have some understanding of networks or some understanding of software or some understanding of data before you get into security, because you need to understand what you're protecting. You need to understand what you're securing. All right, so understand cybersecurity concepts and methodologies. I'll probably say this is very key as well as a beginner to understand, familiarize yourself with the security framework. Linux is very important, but I'm just skipping that because I know a lot of us are familiar with Windows and probably Mac OS to some extent. But one thing I'm going to highlight here is Linux is very important. How many of us have background in Linux? Have you worked on Linux before? Yeah. So if you work on Linux, I think you've got a better chance of breaking into the industry as quickly as possible, any IT space. But it might be challenging, but there are ways to get around that. So knowledge of applications and protocols, ethical hacking capabilities and things like that. So for you to be able to secure something, you need to think like an hacker. So you have to think the same way somebody can break into your house and hack into your house and break into your house, whether through whatever method. So you have to think about different methods that somebody can possibly actually break into your home or into your property to be able to protect yourself against such scenario or such method. So you have to think like, that's why they say ethical hacker. It doesn't mean that it's actually something that is ethical. So automation is becoming big as well. That's in the space of DevOps. And to get into this space as well is very quick. You can go as an analyst as well. So you can see all of the field I've mentioned. So analyst, everything started as analyst, basically. So because the analyst is the entrance level to in all these fields. So can we go to the next one, please? So DevOps, this is advanced, but these are the skills. These are things that you need to have. DevOps is more like is a general. Is a generalist. Yeah, if you want to be a generalist to go into DevOps. What I mean by generalist is you understand concepts of different things. You understand concept of software, concept of data, concept of networks, concept of infrastructure, concept of cloud, for it to go into this space. That means you are actually at the top to actually work on this space because it involves a lot of things, like I said, Linux, coding, cloud computing, automation, software securities, and so on. You understand? So, and there's something built around DevOps culture as well. So, like I've pictured them, it's more around collaboration, continuous improvement, continuous integration, continuous development as well. Can we go to the next one? So I'm not spending too much time on this because I know I've got limited time, but again, it's not just introducing this area to you, it's just what you need to know about each area, just the preambles, just the summary about each of this area. But to get into them is more important than how to get started. So cloud is another big thing which I actually suck myself into this space as well. So by learning Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Services, there are a lot of services there, and you can start by writing some certification to give you an edge into the industry as well. So that's to say, if you want to go into the space, you should be targeting AWS, not Azure or not GCP. The reason because it's a big across the world, not just in the UK, and it's over a lot of web services that can actually give you the understanding you know to actually operate in the cloud. Whether doing infrastructure as a code, whether doing anything you want to do in the cloud, you can do data analytics, you can do a lot of things, software development in the cloud. So, but target AWS because you can get, it's one of the highest paying jobs as well in the world. So security is very important as well, like I mentioned. It's very, very essential to have a security background because you need to be able to protect your cloud. So can we go to the next one? Now this is where I want to spend a lot of time on. I know we don't have too much time. Now, how do you get started into this field, into this industry? So you do training and certification. Training certification is very, very key in this particular space. Now, under training, I enjoy more self-paced training, and I like reading books. A lot better than going for classroom-based. Organization pay for classroom-based training and stuff, but I don't enjoy that. I enjoy classroom-based self-paced training because I can learn in details. I read books a lot. I can learn in details. And there are a lot of sites that offer you this opportunity to learn at your own pace as well. This W3 school is very good for web development, Python and stuff, and it's free. Every content there is free. Everything you need to learn to get into the space, you can easily go to this website. It teaches you anything on software development, on network, maybe to some extent network and security. It's completely free. Other sites are not free, but Udemy is one of the popular sites, training site. It does that at a subsidized price, very, very limited, maybe like the price of a coffee, basically. You can get some important courses. And when you're subscribing for a course on Udemy, you have to look at the ratings of what you're subscribing to as well. The next thing after training is not the only thing. Training is more for your own personal knowledge, for you to understand concepts, principles, frameworks, and things like that. But certification is what we get you the interview. So, because when I did my master's degree, I applied for several jobs, but I got a lot of, unfortunately, to be honest, a lot of jobs I just kept applying. I just break into the industry, but everything was unfortunately. Doing this course actually gave me the edge. So immediately I did this course, 2 weeks after that I got an interview. Everything I did in this course, I translated everything to achievements. Then that gave me my first job. Now to get on the job and stuff, because I had no experience, don't forget. When I got on the job to start doing it, it became, okay, this is what I learned. Okay, start partnering the right people in the team, then start getting the job done again. So, but I was able to do it. Was very challenging, especially in a place you don't have knowledge. So it's very challenging, but professional certification, we always give you it's giving you a stepping stone to understand some things about that particular field. So which actually that helped me when I started. I think it was quite easy, not very easy, but it was not very difficult. Let me say, it gave me this particular certification, helped me to understand a lot of things because I was doing a lot of hands-on on that particular certification. So that helped me. It's not just reading it. So when it comes to implementation, I was able to understand what needs to be done. So for every field I've mentioned earlier, so these are the core skills. Everything I've highlighted in yellow, those are the skills that you need at the entry level, at the minimum to get. So if you want to get, for this particular one, the first one is very important for everybody going into IT. IT and Computer A+ is very, very key. Anybody that's going to get into IT field today and you don't have this certification, I think you're not ready yet. So if you're ready, you go into this field. Even with this certification alone, you can get a job. You can get into the industry. But if you want to get better role, better maybe starting package, you can just look at the specialization and do some of the courses that are highlighted in yellow. All right. Okay. And I don't want to mention a few things again because I know she's said some few things about soft skills. Soft skills really matter as well. So in terms of when it comes to IT as well, because they look at even if you don't have any skill set, they look at how quickly can you be able to grasp the concept. So I'm doing. I think I told Pastor as well. I'm currently doing an interview because I want to move my roles. He said something about moving from one job to another. I do that, but on my current role, I've been almost 5 years. But before, I was like almost every role. I was like 2 years, 3 years, because I wanted to increase my package. Because I've done some things. I've done this, and in one move alone, I've had like almost 40% increase. You understand? So you can actually increase your salary if you know your worth in the market. So all these certifications are very, very key, very, very important, please. Especially those ones that I've highlighted in yellow, if you want to break into the industry. And you need to understand the field you want to get into. Like web development, I think you need to, if you look at, are you working in the field today?
Yeah.
In the UK, yeah. So if anybody that is doing into software, or any whatever stuff you're doing and you're not working in that field today, look at what you can add, like Python or something that will make your skill to be more valuable. So you can actually use that in that industry. Add that to your CV or add that to your Nelly profile, and that can actually give you the break that you actually need. Yeah. So you should mention something on networking. Networking is very important. Go to conferences, go online forums. Continuous learning, like I said, you kind of emphasize continuous learning in this industry. And hands-on, everything has to be hands-on. Get your hands dirty. And I think you're going to get there. So let's go to the next one. I'm probably out of time, but these are the space you can actually get into IT. One thing I was going to say is that if you, after learning all these courses I've said, like you've gone through the training, you've written maybe one certification at minimum, at least maybe the generic one. One thing I'm going to say, to break into the industry, it's usually easy to go through the NHS. I've had a lot of my friends, I didn't go through the NHS, but a lot of my friends went through NHS to get into the industry because it's very easy to get into IT through NHS. So they advertise a lot of rounds, they've got like a lot of roles. There are more 500 or close to 1,000 NHS posts across the UK. So they advertise a lot of roles, make a lot of roles available. So it's very easy to break into that industry. But when I was doing this, I started in this field. So when I was doing this field, my target was this field, basically to get to this sector. So I was there, but I was looking at this because this is where the box is, this is where the money is, and and this is not even this. This is not where the money is. This is where the money is. The last one. So, but it's not about the money, because I was in a meeting, 2 months ago, and somebody was saying, how can I get into this? I can get into financial industry because I want to earn money. I said, do you understand what you're actually doing at the moment? Do you know the skills that you have, the skill set that, do you understand your value? Because sometimes a lot of people, they have a limited skill set and they don't develop themselves, but they want to get into an industry that is going to send them out of the industry. So basically, you want to, because of the money, you want to push yourself into a space that can easily eject you out completely from the industry. You don't want to do that. So anytime you're looking at an industry you want to get into, there's some skill set that is required for that industry as well. So start learning those skill sets. The framework, whatever stuff that is attached to that. Because when I got into the space, there are a lot of things is a completely different sectors, which I had to learn a lot of things from the beginning. Learning on the job is one of the key things. Everybody, a lot of people learn on the job. You understand? It's a very key way of actually learning. But once you have the desire you need to create your own career projection. Where you want to be in the next 2 years, where you want to be in the next 5 years, where you want to be in the next 10 years, and you can have a plan to work towards that. So yeah, these are the field you can go into towards, but I think I'm probably going to stop here because my time is already up. But if you go to the next one, yeah, I was going to talk about this, but I think she's already mentioned, she's done this very well. I was going to use my experience, what I've done over the years, and have worked for me. Most interview I go to, I want to make sure that I'm not rejected at the first stage. So the preparation I do a lot enough in preparation to make sure I get to the final stage. Even if they're going to say, okay, we have two candidates, but I want to get to the final stage too. I do a lot of preparation. But one thing I was highlighting here, sorry, Pastor, just 1 minute. One thing I'm just highlighting here is basically, it's like a cycle for me. So you start from here, prepare your CV, very well, using those formats she's mentioned, she's highlighted. Prepare yourself well for the interview. Your CV, you need to know your CV very well. The interview this current interview that I'm doing, or I've gone to the last stage, I've had 5 stages. Now, one of the stages, they brought my CV and it was reading every achievement on my CV. I was asking me to defend my CV. So you need to know your CV. It's not enough to give somebody or to give ChatGPT your CV to write for you. You have to understand what is written in your CV because they're going to ask you. They can pick anything, talk about your achievement. Okay, what did you do here? And most CV now, most interview now is not what is this, what is that. It's competency based. It's scenario based. What you've done, what you've achieved, how you've helped your team to achieve something like I said, and now we're able to drive results. For me, it has always been like this. After getting on the job, do as much as possible on the job, learn as much as possible, and push myself because I always tell my manager, I want more challenging projects. I want more challenging projects. I'm only doing more. So he's always giving me challenging projects, something that's going to make me to work weekends, overnight. And once I've done that, I gain a lot of knowledge. It has a lot of value, increase my worth in the organization. And once I do that, within 2 years, space of 2-3 years, I get enough experience. It's enough, even one page, I can write one job, a lot of achievement I've done. The more I put that back into my CV, recycle it back, then go for another interview. But again, it's not something like, okay, you just want to jump anyhow, so you have to plan your journey as well. You're not just journey or moving from one job to another. Every move needs to be planned. And you need to give yourself some places where you don't get into a job for 1 year and say, oh, I want them now, I want bigger money, or I want a better package, let me leave. No, it's not that, because sometimes you get this, recruiter will see that. Not that recruiter, even companies will see that they discourage, because that says a lot of things about your loyalty. So it's not good on the CV. Having 1 year, even 2 years is too limited, it's too small, but there's a way you can do it to actually make you to have better visibility. All right, I think I'm just gonna stop there. Sorry, I know I rushed things a little bit.
Anybody with questions? All right. Maybe we'll take all the questions at once, then you answer.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I think this is where you have to make use of your praise the Lord now. And Pastor, please. Okay, so I've been asking questions at every segment, and this is yours. So there's a part of my life that anywhere I get broke, it's graphic design, web development, or web design that helps me out. Okay. Presently, I'm out of work, but I have a job I'm doing for the client. I'm designing the web design through WordPress at the moment. That is my saving grace for now. So now, I am the kind of person that has line with project management, product management, and the rest. I actually did customer care services for about 2 months in this country as well. So I know a little bit about customer care because I did it in Moscow as well for a year. So now, the focal point. I want to get into IT as well. it's my love. It's something I've been doing freelancing. Graphic design I've been doing it for 10 years. Okay? So I branch into web design. I know more of HTML. If I do a website in WordPress, I go back to go and do it with HTML and CSS, just for freelance, just to play around with it, just for myself. So I've developed myself in all these languages little by little. Okay? So I'm trying to learn JavaScript right now and Python as well. Now, what is the focal point for me? What do you think I should do? Project management, product management, or just there's something in between, maybe IT project management that actually will surface around all the other professions? Or what do you think I should do? Because I'm confused.
I mean, you said web development is your hobby. I mean, when you say web development, it's a web application or just the front end or your design?
Just front end.
Just the front end and things like that, yeah. So what I'll probably do is, I'll probably advise you first to research into the market. I mean, you can easily get into the web development industry, but again, it's not enough to, like HTML and CSS might be too limited or too, it's not enough, especially in the UK. You're competing with talents in the UK, especially the Indians. You know, they can do sophisticated, even web page for you. So I think what you need to do is to add web applications to that as well. I mean, maybe you can go to like W3 school to understand how to use the minimum, at the very minimum, use JavaScript to actually to make your web page more dynamic. And so by the time you start doing that, what you need to do again is that you need to start showcasing those applications that you're doing on your CV. And what you need to do, you need to make it present as an achievement of what you've done on that company. It's very difficult sometimes if you've not worked for a sector, you don't have experience in a sector, but you just do it like obviously not like. But I think what you need to do is that when you work in Nigeria, have you worked on any web design stuff for any company before and things like that? Like
Just UI,
as a developer, have you worked as a developer?
UX design.
All right, okay. Yeah, so the thing about it is that the problem about people getting into the industry is not just because they don't have the skill sets sometimes to get into the industry. It's about the experience or using the right content to actually get into that market. So what I'll probably say is that you need to, wherever you've worked before, even if it's UX, UI, UX that you've done before, try to bring your knowledge on software development. You can apply for a role, understand the role around the software development, around web development, sorry. Then once you understand your role around that particular, so wrap your previous experience and your whatever thing you do for hobby, your web front-end development and stuff like that, majorly on your achievements, what you're able to do, and for that particular client. If possible, you can mention a few names of applications that you've built. But again, I'm saying application, but you've not really done. But I'll probably say try to delve more into web application, maybe learning JavaScript at the minimum, and on the side maybe Python. So once you start doing those sophisticated application, embedding them into your web pages and stuff like that. So I think that will give you a better visibility out there, so that people can see that you're ready for the job. Because to be honest, you need to make your skill a bit more sophisticated in this market, because you're competing against a lot of talents in the UK as well. Even though the mod industry has got a pool of jobs out there, but one job a lot of people are actually applying for, and there's something they do to skill matrix to just maybe try to say, okay, no, this has got a better edge over one. So, but what can give you better visibility of an edge is to actually include web applications. I think if you include web applications into your pool of skill sets, I think you should be fine. Yeah, I mean, we can talk and actually see how to do a few things. Maybe like it might be also maybe like you've done all the things you've done as well. Maybe the way your CV has been presented as well, like what you said as well. So, but majorly anything you've done as an hobby, voluntary, whatever stuff, emphasize them as achievements on your CV. I mean, in your CV.
In all of this, there's this application, certification that I know someone has got. It's called SAP. Where does SAP come to play in all of this?
All right, it's around CRM, so customer relation management system. So CRM. So I didn't make mention of this, but SAP will still fall because people design those because it's software application that help people, whether for consultancy or for management. It's similar to having, what's it called now? Salesforce. I don't know if you heard about Salesforce. Yeah, something like CRM like that. So it's software applications, but using it, I'm not talking about the usage. So maybe what they've talked about, maybe like in terms of using it, people that use them to achieve something, because anybody sales can use it, anybody in marketing, accounting can use it. So, but in terms of that particular application itself, it falls under software development to be able to develop that kind of application or to improve those kind of applications.
Thank you. We have some of these certifications that you highlighted on the Udemy, this online application. Compared to, there's some universities that also have programs like this. So which one do you think is better within online or some of these universities that are on there?
This is better.
The Coursera, Udemy.
Coursera, I don't know how many of you know Coursera. Coursera is very good because Coursera, some of the courses in Coursera is affiliated to some of the universities in the world, whether US, UK. When I started my journey on Python, I did Python for network engineers, and that was affiliated to University of Michigan. So, and I had my certificate for it as well. So, but you paid for it. I mean, maybe £300 or whatever stuff. Or Coursera is not free. There's some courses that are free on Coursera, but if you want some targeted courses, they're not free on Coursera. So, but if you want quality training that give you nitty-gritty about a particular profession or a particular field or a particular course, like data analytics or networks or security, Udemy or Pluralsight. It's their subscription. This is a subscription-based site, but I think this one, but you can pay maybe like a very subsidized price, maybe £10, £20 for per course. But that can give you detailed information about that course, and you need to look at the review before you purchase the course. So the better the review, then the quality of the content is going to be good. So if you go to this site, that will give you any field you want to know. Basically, outside IT as well, you can get them on this particular site. Another good one is O'Reilly as well. O'Reilly is very good for training. But I'll probably say, if you want to start with W3 School for software development, anybody that is into software development, Udemy for any other field like IT security. Pluralsight is very good as well.
I've got one question. I would like to hear your thoughts on. Okay. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this cybersecurity standardization, like ISO 27001. That side of cybersecurity, I'm interested in that side. It's like the governance side, and I know there are some training you have to do for that and all of that. I feel I can easily sort of align that with what I studied, and But I've been having a lot of doubt about how to approach it and how I can also get in through. Do I have to have like an IT background for me to easily, get into that space?
Yeah, I mean, you already have an IT background. You're already into software development or web framework, web development.
I'm actually a lawyer.
Oh, really? You're not... Okay, I thought you said you
No, I didn't know that was what you meant.
All right, okay. All right, if you're gonna, that's a big jump. Coming from any field, you can come from any field basically to IT. You understand? But the thing is that compared to somebody that studied IT in school and somebody that didn't study IT in school, I think you need to push yourself hard because it's a bit challenging to get into the industry. But you need to push yourself hard to be able to learn. Provided you can learn, provided you can read, provided you can watch videos and practice, you can get into the field. Anybody can get into the space. So to answer your question, there's some, to know the framework, there's some frameworks that are standard in security. Cybersecurity has got its own principle, frameworks, or what have you, basically. So, and they don't have framework, they have certain framework for particular application, like credit cards, how they hold credit card information. There's a framework called PCI DSS that holds that information as well. ISO, there are many ISO 23000, 2001 and stuff like that. So all this framework, you have to learn them and see where they are being applied. So to tell you each of the framework what the target space is, or maybe like in terms of okay, this is related to how infrastructures needs to be set up, how secure an infrastructure needs to be, whether in cloud or on-premise. So on-prem. So those ISO standards are what your accreditors are going to be looking at when they come. Did you meet this particular standard? Did you meet this standard before they actually take you off that? Okay, you're an accredited company. You should be operating. So basically, if you want to go into that space, yeah, I'll probably say yes. You need to have some IT background. It's a big jump to go into security. Yeah, to go into security without having any exposure to any IT. At least at the very minimum, have like the sys admin, how system works, how system interact. Because I know the space is more around INFOSEC, information security. Yeah. You understand? But if you don't understand the nitty-gritty on data, then how do you be able to protect the data? How do you be able to build frameworks? How do you be able to build policies around that particular data? So you need to understand data leak, whatever. So many things, and also you need to be part of maybe like maybe as just part of your research. Just join some online NIST. Have you heard of NIST before? Yeah. So is it NIST or NIST? Just basically, if you join that can give you like a picture around the leaders in the industry, the frameworks, and also vulnerabilities. You can talk about vulnerabilities. So all those kind of things can actually get you to know a few things about it. But in terms of breaking into the industry without an IT background, I'm not sure whether it's going to be very easy to get into that field. At least if you have some understanding or some certification around, or some experience around data, general system interactions, data interactions, system interaction, ITO and stuff like that. So I think that will give you a very good edge. Because if people want to see you, you want to come into security, information security, they look at your background, you're coming as a lawyer, they might not really say, okay, you understand.
But a computer science degree is not necessary, is it?
The degree that we do in school, to be honest, most of them are not really applicable in the real world. I mean, they're very good. Theoretically, they're very good. But a lot of time we don't learn about the applications. I mean, everything is changing now in school that they're trying to bring about. They're teaching about the applications of this. We're developing applications. As well in this country, as early as year 2, year 1, they do a lot of sophisticated application development. So this is where people are applying the skill set. But back in Nigeria, when I studied, it's more around theory. You understand? So the way things work in theory is ideal. It's an ideal word, but that doesn't apply when it comes to practice. So it's kind of different when it comes to practice. So you need to, at least, I'd probably say, have like, if you want to break into that, have maybe like another IT field, maybe like 1 or 2 years. You understand? Then you can, maybe related field, you can do something on data. So if you do something on data, then you know what you're actually protecting. And what the industry should be looking at is INFOSEC, and the field you should be looking at information security, INFOSEC, in any organization. Because those are people that write the standards, the framework, the policy for any organization.
Thank you very much for your session. So I'm a project manager and I work on digital transformation projects, but I don't have any IT certification because I've always felt that it's too technical for me, given that you can be a general PM, and just use your transferable skills and learn on the go. So I'm just wondering, in terms of certification, some people have mentioned to me ITIL, but I don't know how I can apply that because I would like to break into either tech companies because of the money, tech companies because of the money, finance because of the money, or legal because they pay more. So I just want to know for tech and maybe finance, what's the best training to do to help me with what I already have?
I think it's more or less going into a particular industry rather than the certification now. So because to go from one industry to another, I don't too much believe in certification like that. Certifications have its own place, they're very good, it's good to have them. But for me, when it comes to career progression and career growth, I don't really do them like that. I'd rather have experience and do in multiple fields, that counts. So I think what you need to do first is something, when I was planning to go into finance, I've always had it from university days in school that I'm going to get into finance and things like that. So, but I started subscribing to some newsletter like e-financial careers. So there's some newsletter I started looking at. They started talking about some of the top hedge funds, investment banks, what they are doing, the technology they're using, and stuff like that. So maybe like, okay, I want to break into the industry. And where I am, I'm in telecoms, and I'm only working with maybe some infrastructure or some technology. Then maybe in telecoms, they're using a particular technology. So then I need to start learning those, that particular technology. So if I want to pull that, if I want to apply for to start with, it's very difficult to get into finance. If you don't have any finance background, it's very, very hard. You know, but there's always an opportunity to get into that space. But always make sure that you emphasize your skill set that is related to any finance, maybe environment. That you, like maybe reading some newsletter, you find you understand the technology trend in finance, then you start developing yourself towards that maybe goal because you know that's where you're driving yourself towards. Then once you understand this technology, then you can actually start putting them on your CV, and not as your achievement or anything, but maybe like as a skill sets that you've got that you can actually bring, you can actually add value to the table. Now, as project manager, what I usually advise for any project manager in tech space is that you need to be a technical project manager. So it's not enough, you know, you can be a project manager, but not technical. But for you to add value to any tech organization, you need to be a technical project manager. So you need to understand some IT terminologies. You need to have interest in IT. You understand, similar to financial space, you need to understand the terminologies in finance. You need to, like when I first got into my, finance, I mean, I was in telecoms. There are a lot of things I don't understand, like market data, order entries, a lot of equities, derivatives, a lot of those terms, I don't understand them. I can't really say this is what that actually means and stuff like that. But if you start pushing yourself, if you know that's your drive, then you need to start understanding the space before you even get there. Like in terms of the terminology, the technology, the required skill sets to get to that industry. So I think it's once you do that, I think you just need a break to get in. There's always one that's just going to come. You can apply for multiple, but just one. You just need one out of those 100. You understand, to get into that space. And once you get into that space, it's not how to survive. So what you've learned over time, in the before you get in, can actually get you going. But again, you need to make friends. You need to have a mentor in an organization you work for as well to actually help you to succeed in that very organization. But I think I would advise to become a more technical player. That means you're involved, because when you make contributions in meetings, you understand technical details that people are saying. You don't have to be an expert on those fields, like we're talking about cloud, and you don't have to go into cloud, configuring cloud, no. But when you speak as a technical project manager, they understand that you know what you're talking about when it comes to application interaction or system interaction in the cloud, connectivity in the cloud, and they give you more respect, and you can actually bring more value to the table, like that.
Okay.
Have you been blessed?
Yes.
Are you sure? If you've gained a lot of things that you were hoping to gain, can I get a whoop, whoop, whoop? Okay. Right, so we've come to the end of this amazing, well-informed